3 days ago, I checked for the first time in a while if there was anything new happening in my notebook LM. At a first glance, there seemed to be nothing different from what I'd seen on my last visit to the site. But then I suddenly noticed that among everything that I had known to have been either provided or otherwise saved by me, there was a host of files that were definitely foreign to my knowledge. The unfamiliar files were part of a document titled The Barber Pole Effect Explained. As soon as I read the title, I knew immediately where it was coming from. So I smiled. In 2 colors. The Barber Pole Effect Explained. 6 sources. The provided sources examine the scientific principles behind the Barber Pole effect, a phenomenon where white light transforms into a spiraling spectrum of colors as it travels through sugar water. Central to this exploration is the interaction between light and sugar molecules, which rotate the polarization of light at varying speeds depending on its frequency. One source highlights how linearly polarized light is actually composed of left and right-hand circular waves that experience different indices of refraction, causing the visible twist. Furthermore, the texts explain that the diagonal stripes seen from the side result from light scattering, a process where wiggling charges radiate energy more intensely in directions perpendicular to their motion. This overview is contrasted with a critical perspective that challenges conventional Newtonian optics, arguing instead for a longitudinal distribution of spectral colors within light. Together, these materials offer a detailed look at electromagnetism, optical rotation, and the physics of wave interference.
In the last video, you and I looked at this demo here, where we shine linearly polarized light through a tube full of sugar water, and we saw how it rather mysteriously results in these colored diagonal stripes. There I walked through the general outline for an explanation, keeping track of what questions still need to be answered. Namely, why does sugar water twist the polarization direction of light? Why does that twisting rate depend on the color of the light? And why, even if you understand that this twist is happening, would you see any evidence of it when viewing the tube from the side with no additional polarizing filters? Here, I'd like to begin with the very fundamental idea of what light is and show how the answers to these questions can emerge from an extremely minimal set of assumptions.
The author, meaning I, states that, despite centuries of study, conventional physicists are still clueless about the differences and similarities between subjective and objective experiments. A valid theory must be able to account for both, which the conventional theory allegedly cannot do. The colors observed in subjective experiments, looking through a prism, appear in a reversed order, VBG or violet, blue, green, yellow, orange, red, compared to the sequence observed in objective experiments, ROIG BV, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. This reversal was an insight attributed to Newton, though the author, meaning I, suggests that Newton had no idea how to deal with those differences. As I read the terms that had been chosen to describe my actions, I smile again. This time in 3 colors. One for each of those carefully selected terms. According to the sources, there is an apparent color paradox, which is a major point of confusion and discussion among conventional physicists. The paradox can be summarized by these 2 contrasting observations in the sugar water demo. 1. Objective direct view. If an observer puts their eye at the end of the tube, looking toward the lamp, the light seen is still white. The light remains white because, although the polarization directions for different colors are separated, the overall balance, amount, of each color remains the same as when the light started. 2. Subjective side view. If the tube is viewed from the side, with no additional filters, the observer sees colored diagonal stripes or spiral helixes. The colors appear to form different bands. See? That's what I've been saying for years. The conventional physicists do not know the difference between subjective and objective experiments. This is the legacy that Newton left the world. He had never been able to say anything about the incredibly beautiful symmetry that exists between the subjective aspect of prismatic observation and the so-called objective one. Our contemporary physicists do not have a clue about what really happens in the prismatic ecosystem. They are not only blissfully ignorant about that reality, they have also been taught to remain staunch defenders of the ruling academic powers. The academic zealotry is as rigid as any other religion's, past or present.
Rotate the angle of polarization. And we see a couple of really interesting things happen. One is, we see this whole helix start to rotate down this tube. And that's because the incident angle of polarization has now changed. So the amount by which it rotates will be offset, right? And we also see that the light that comes out of the end of the tube has also changed its angle of polarization, meaning its wavelength. And I can do the same to this end of the tube. I can just change the angle of polarization of the exit polarizer, which should change the color that comes out onto this poster board. The polarizer only admits certain angles of polarization, which are in line with the angle of the polarizer, and since the polarization angle is related to the wavelength, that means only certain colors are allowed to come through. Pretty interesting. It's not immediately clear to me why the helical structure of dextrose or sucrose results in this phenomenon. Like, what is it about the interaction between light and this helical molecule results in this strange polarization phenomenon? It's certainly something to explore, but it's definitely a really beautiful phenomenon.
Okay. I shall ignore, for now, that very suspicious comment that she made about only certain colors being allowed to get past the polarizers and therefore end up on the screen. Let me then point your attention to the array of colors that have consistently managed to get past the polarizers and landed on the screen. Have you noticed that one primary color did never manage to join the others? That invariably missing color was blue. So, tell me, why do you think that the only color that never showed its hue was the blue one? Because the spectral colors in any ray of white light are longitudinally distributed in BGR order, exactly like the distribution you can see next. Finally, for now, have a look at these last 5 images. What do you see? Okay, let me be a little more specific. What colors do you see? Cyan, magenta, and yellow. These are not the primary colors of light. These are the complementary colors. Food for thought. Or a penny for your thoughts. Wish you all the best.